Hey,
Hi, I was on before you.
it's a race.
It's a race. It's the space race.
That space race.
That's right.
Okay. I'll close that window there. The window. Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of astronomy edutainment, the Sunday night astronomy show.
Hey.
Hey. My name is Chris Kerwin. I'm the creator of the social media channels known as Astronomy by the Bay. I don't know why I still have to read this every
I don't know why. It's like 200
down. I still got to read it.
You're still
Hey, so anyway,
I think everybody knows who you are.
an amateur astronomer, remember the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. Anyway. Well, might be new people.
How do you handle a curveball?
Might be new people here you don't know. Be nice, guys. Anybody else want to be on here with me instead of these two?
You would have nowhere near as much fun.
I'm somewhat pleased to welcome back my two co-hosts this evening, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moonshot Observatory in beautiful Hampton. Paul, good evening.
Hello.
Our co-host here this evening, Mr. Mike Powell from the Peel Observatory in St. John's. He didn't even have to look at the words there. So
My glasses are steaming up.
all right, well, we'd like to welcome all of you tonight on Rogers and YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And Rogers TV Network, thank you for your support on tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Now, in many areas, the views of our night sky are much different are much more different than they were when we were young. Light pollution continues to be an increasing concern, not just for those of us who enjoy the pleasures of the beauty of a clear night, but also for many forms of wildlife who also really rely on dark skies to navigate and to survive. But if you want to observe from an urban sky, all is not lost. In fact, there is still much to see. So what can we see under light polluted skies? A lot more than you may think. Simple binoculars and even certain filters and optical equipment can reduce some of the light pollution to manageable levels. And that's tonight's topic of discussion, what we can see from urban skies. Also tonight, Vinyl Bud returns, Vinyl Bud returns with another great binocular target. Yes? Okay, yeah. Paul will be back with another interesting Rosanna's fun fact.
Yep.
Yay. And I'll be offering, I'm not going to offer the best of celestial event. I'm just going to talk about one celestial event, but I want to talk about something else that these guys saw a little earlier. I'm not going to show yet. How to make it safe for kids to look at the eclipse using a pair of glasses. Like these are okay, but they're not really going to be best because kids are going to want to do this, right? So I'm going to want to do that. So how do you protect kids' eyes, when you're not quite looking at them all the time? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to share an idea of how to help that out. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, enjoy the show with us. And as always, if you have any questions, please post them here. So let's get started, guys, with a discussion around what stargazing means for those of us in urban skies.
All right.
You, Paul, you can't join the discussion.
Okay, well, we were chatting about this, and it's, we're always saying, get out to the dark skies, get out to the dark skies. And sometimes, you think that you're giving people the impression that if you're not in the dark sky, you're not going to see much. But there's so much to see from the city. Things that it doesn't make any difference if you're in New York City or St. John, New Brunswick, or wherever you happen to be. There's lots you can see, and you can see a lot of things, enough to keep you very busy to enjoy astronomy from wherever you happen to be. So I guess there's 4 or 5 main categories of things you can see from the city. There's some things you'll need binoculars, some things you'll need a telescope, some things you can see naked eye, just like any other type of observing. But they're categorized into solar system items, and then there's globular clusters, and then there's planetary nebula. There is nebula sources that you can look at, all kinds of different things you can see. And I think when where were we at? We were doing an outreach thing in Glen Falls. Yes, it was. And people were saying, well, because you were pretty much in the middle of St. John, New Brunswick. Needless to say, in a school parking lot was surrounded by light, by the busiest street in the city with cars going back and forth. And we were able to see nebula. So, Chris, do you remember which nebula that we looked at there?
Oh.
He didn't write it
It was a
down.
memorable event. It was truly a memorable event.
Yeah.
Not for Chris, but for some of us. Anyway, the Orion Nebula.
There you go. Yeah, it was Orion Nebula.
Right behind me here.
Orion Nebula, wasn't it?
The Orion, yes, it was. I'm glad you remembered. The Orion Nebula
Behind you.
is one you can actually see almost naked eye. You can make out that it's not a star, and it's bright enough that you can kind of see what it is. But with binoculars, Mike, I think you've looked at that a gazillion times with binoculars.
Oh yeah.
And I think you've had it on your thing, right?
Yeah, it's one of my targets.
Yeah.
But it's so bright. I mean, it's one of those big bright objects that's easy to see. Like you were saying, certain globular clusters are, because they're so bright, they're very easy to see. Binoculars just magnifies naked eye a little bit, as far as I'm concerned. A telescope magnifies it big time. But there's I'm in Bortle 5, what's considered Bortle 5 sky here in Milledgeville, which is not a great sky. And every binocular target that I use for Bino-Bud I can find, and some of them are on the dimmer side, but I can still get them in light polluted skies. So that's the whole real point behind it. You don't have a scope, use binoculars, because there's lots to look at.
Yeah,
you are in light polluted sky.
Yeah.
Well, even what's behind you, that's the first one that comes to my mind. No matter where you are on this Earth, when that's visible, it's visible.
Yeah.
And planets,
Hard to miss.
Yeah, Venus, Jupiter are the same pretty well from no matter where you are.
Yeah.
These guys. I mean, there are those in, say, Toronto or bigger cities like that have told me that they haven't seen all the stars in the Big Dipper.
Yeah.
Which is.
I haven't seen all those stars in the Big Dipper. I've seen the pot and the handle, but I haven't.
Those ones, yeah. But a lot of parts of the country can't even see that, right? Parts of the world. So.
Yeah. True enough.
But in our area, we can still see the Pleiades star cluster, which is really common. That's
absolutely.
Right one,
yeah. And Andromeda, I mean, I've seen Andromeda from the yard here, but you have to know exactly where to look for it.
Yeah. You can naked eye Andromeda from my backyard easily. You just look right up, and it's a kind of a long smudge. Like you can see that it's not just a point of light. And I'm in a Bortle 4 sky.
I can get it with binoculars here, but I cannot get it naked eye here. So
yeah, you might be a little bright there where you are.
Very. We got some extra lights down the road. Saying that, full cutoff lights do make a big difference, as opposed to the old street lights that we had that kind of spread light in every direction. It didn't matter because nobody cared.
Yeah.
Accidentally, when they put in the new lighting, it ended up being full cutoff street lights.
Yeah.
And that made a world of difference, even in my backyard. I found.
I know. Plumb back from Toronto, and you see it fly over the city, and it looks darker.
Yeah. At certain times now, I can actually, from my backyard, start seeing the Milky Way, which I could not see any of it before.
Yeah.
Now I have to look and say, is that a cloud? No, that's stars. That's the Milky Way.
In places like we visit, like St. Ross Beach, the Milky Way has improved greatly from
Huge difference.
For a short, 5 or 6 second shot, you can get lots of detail.
Yeah. And we're talking too about observing and imaging, because both are affected by light pollution and what you can see from the city. And we were talking earlier about optics, and this is just something I don't think a lot of people are aware of when they first buy a telescope, but there's a spec that's on your telescope. And let me just see if I can. I'm not going to bring up a slide on or anything. I'm just going to open up the page and give you exactly what they actually call it. Oops, wrong page. That's nothing new, is it? There we go. So it's called limited magnitude, or limited maximum magnitude. So when you look in the sky at a target, say it's let's say it's a dim nebula. And if you're looking at a dim nebula, it's got a magnitude, in other words, a brightness adjustment attached to it. So if your telescope's limited magnitude is, say, 11, and your target is, say, 14, well, it doesn't matter if you're in the darker skies on the planet. You're not going to see that because you don't have the light gathering power to get enough light to make that target obvious to your eye. So there are some limitations to the size of the aperture that you're using. And that's why a lot of the observers go out and buy these great big 26-inch mirrors and stuff, because they want to go deep, because they need to get to a really, really, really deep part of the sky to find something that's so faint that we would never ever see in a lot of our 8-inch or 6-inch telescopes. So so that's one thing to consider is, so if you're trying to find a target to look at it because you went on Stellarium and you said, oh, that's cool, I wonder if I can see that from my backyard, go through all the trouble of finding it, but you didn't look at your telescope's ability to pick up how much light it's sensitive to versus how dim that target is, you may never be able to see it anyway. So it might be just a spec to think about when you're looking at a telescope, based on what it is that you want to see or observe, or even image as far as that goes.
Yeah. Like I said, that's something I never even thought of myself. All the equipment I got, but you're right. If it's too dim, you're not going to see it either way because your scope's not capable of letting you see that. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll share a photo here of the mortal skies we were talking about, right? So here's an image basically of what we would see from our part of the country, like Mike says here. We're in about Bortle 5 right here, right, Mike? So
yeah, well, they tell us we're Bortle 5 when you look at all the maps and stuff.
It's quite that, maybe 6.
I think we're closer to a 7 in that photograph.
Orion stands out really nicely out here out in the back, and the Pleiades stands out really nice as well. And the Orion Nebula is actually easy naked eye. I might put this around a 6, but maybe people can tell us where they are on this, like on the scale. Take a look here on the scale and see where you might be. I want to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Yeah, we'll go to Mount Carlton for that.
You're a Bortle 4 out where you are you not, Paul?
I'm a 4, yeah.
Yeah.
And just look at the difference going from, say, Mike, you said you were a 5?
You were a 5 leading towards a 6. How's that?
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes a big difference. Like if you look at that Milky Way illustration on mine, you can just start to make out the dark cloud or the dark dust and stuff that's in the Milky Way, just a bit. But as you get a little further away, like Aurora 3, and then further and further, the Milky Way, first of all, starts to really brighten. And one thing you'll notice if you ever go to a dark sky, and it's really a cool thing to see, is if you look up in the sky and you look and it looks like there's a big black patch up there, chances are it's a cloud. But anytime you're around any kind of light, there's ground light that reflects up and lights the clouds, so that we always see them as gray smears or that kind of a color. But when you're in a true dark sky and you're looking at a bright Milky Way and a cloud is going through, it just looks like a big black cover over it because there's no ground light to light up that cloud. So it's actually black. So it's really quite something to see. So if you ever see that, and you can remember where the spot was, go back there with a telescope because it'll be the best observing you'll ever have.
Mount Carlton was the first place I saw that, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, like, what are the stars? Like this, you can't even see the stars. It's it's black hole, basically.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But that's the other side of the scale, and on this side of the scale, of course, is what can we see from where a lot of us live. So, planets, solar system. I don't think there's too many things in the solar system that's blocked by light pollution. Is there?
I wouldn't think.
No.
Mostly just what your scope could actually pick up for magnitude, not light pollution, because the objects are so close, they're bright enough anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can see Jupiter.
Yeah.
Naked eye easily. And in fact, Venus, for those who have never seen Venus through a telescope, and I imagine there's probably a few that haven't, because I was in the hobby for a few years before I actually viewed Venus and actually looking at one of its phases, because it phases like our moon does. And I didn't know that up until that. In fact, that night I was telling you about, we were in Glen Falls looking at that nebula. That's the first time I saw Venus actually in a crescent form.
Okay, yeah. The 2 inner planets do, yeah. But
so Mars is you can do that from the city.
Yeah. Venus and Jupiter, of course, because they're the second and third brightest objects in the sky behind the moon anyway. So
you can make out that Uranus and Neptune are blue and green dots out there. There's no question about that. They're pretty easy to pick off.
Yeah.
Pluto, that's a whole different story. You take a photo today and a photo tomorrow, the dot that moved might be it.
Something like MEPAC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, we're mobile individuals.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's star clusters, and that you can see, like Hercules is probably the one that comes to mind, I think, the most. That's probably the most viewed one, I think, for a globular cluster, and
Right.
then for
I mean,
a
the
loose
Pleiades and
cluster.
Hyades, yeah, Pleiades, Hyades,
Yeah,
the double cluster would be another target, I guess.
yeah,
Yep.
it would be.
That's a
Yeah,
nice easy one.
that's naked eye from out here in my house. You can see the double cluster.
Yeah. The
Naked eye.
beehive, I mean, it's bright enough and big enough that you can see that as well
Yeah.
in blue skies, I found.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to like study double stars, all that kind of stuff, most of the stars that you'd be interested in are pretty visible. I mean, there's a lot of them that are super, super bright, like all the major alpha stars in the constellations that you can see. I think most of those you can see from the city.
Pretty much, I would think. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So like Lyra, Deneb, Altair, even
The whole summer triangle you can see.
triangle you can see,
The whole winter octagons you can see.
Castor and Pollux.
Unfortunately, most of Cygnus.
Yeah, you can certainly, yes, you can see Cygnus. Yeah, yeah.
Can't see North American Nugget, but you can see Cygnus. Yeah, I mean,
So having talked about all that stuff, there's also some interesting things people say about light pollution filters. And because if you live in the city, they're saying, okay, well, before the LED light came to be, there were light pollution filters that were developed to work against the sodium lights, a typical light that we would see, that yellow light that you would see at night, up until the last, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, I guess. They really started to plunk them out in the city, the LEDs. So the trouble with the LED light is it's such a broad band of light that you can't filter out a specific band and still see all the stuff around it, because it kind of covers everything. It covers a fair bit of red spectrum and it covers a fair bit of blue spectrum. So if you're trying to, say, image something that's a broadband target, like just about any galaxy is, it makes it pretty darn hard to get through that light pollution. So you got to find your way around either getting out of the path of that light, or I'm not sure what else you can do. I think, Mike, you had a solution. You see.
Well, yeah, I was reading an article about it, and everybody's saying, yeah, the new filters, all these filters that come out to eliminate the sodium and mercury lighting are basically with these LED lights. They're made not usable. It doesn't make a difference because of the broadband. And a gentleman come back and says, I have a solution. It's called a power outage.
yeah, I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Just people get surprised in what they can see. Like all of a sudden, the sky opens up to them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Might be a good idea on Earth Day to have a power outage every year.
Well, somebody showed a picture of it when Toronto, but they had for some reason, the city of Toronto was out. It might have even been Tim Doucette, if my memory's any good. And it showed they were out for, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours or maybe longer. And no, I think it was Montreal for the ice storm, and they had lost their power. And for the first time, a lot of people actually saw this night sky.
Yeah.
In the city like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like those things.
There were a lot of calls to the police departments and stuff. There were a lot of calls to police departments and stuff, I guess, because they said something's up. Like, we're seeing things we shouldn't see.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's all those things you can observe. But as far as filters go, like there's a lot of different filters you can get for observing and for imaging, for that kind of stuff in the city. If you happen to be in a rural area with a fair bit of house lights and stuff around you, then a lot of those old-time light pollution filters will work because they're designed for that kind of light. But it's just the LED is kind of giving us a beat up. But now, having said that, I want to show, see if I can find out where their pictures are going to end up first before I try to share my screen. And I'm going to share my screen and just talk just a little bit about the type of lighting that's actually available now. And I'll turn on, there we go.
There we go.
So there's full cutoff lighting. And what that does, of course, is, as you can see, it's almost like an LED light you'd have in your ceiling, really. And it's designed to basically just shine down. So no light goes this way. It only goes basically like that. And nothing goes up in the sky. So typically when you're observing, you're usually observing at least 15, 20 degrees above the horizon. So anything that you're observing up there with this type of lighting, you can do. So it'll be nice if you could go to a city that's actually, what they call dark sky acclimated, and you can go to their parks and actually still enjoy the night sky, which is really, really cool. Now, there's something else I want to show. Here we are. So the lighting, when it kind of, before we started thinking about the sky, or a lot of people did, and with all the inflection of people wanting to see the night sky again, this typically was the lights we had for years and years and years. You go to any old city, including ours, and you'll see all these pole lamps that are out there. And the trouble with the pole lamp, of course, is all the light goes in all directions. So it goes down, sideways, forward, backwards, and the worst part, of course, for us is it goes up. So then people said, okay, well, let's put a cap on the top of it, so so at least it'll protect this part. But it still doesn't matter because the light still gets to go up on that kind of a cover. So then they said, okay, well, let's put a bigger cover on it, and still doesn't do what we need it to do, which is to get in the path so that if you're standing, say, here and looking up, it doesn't make any difference because I'm in the path of that light, I can see it. But if you have one of these full cutoff lights, these are the best types of designs, which is ones we just saw a minute ago. You can get out of the path of the light, and then you can basically look up in the sky anywhere you want to. So there's more and more places that are actually starting to incorporate that kind of lighting. For example, here's what it would look like in a city place. Now, some people where you live today may have already seen this kind of a light, and this is the perfect light because nobody's going to break into your light above. It's just on the ground, so you're not protecting anything by putting light in the sky. So long as it's on the ground, and these things, are probably good, 15, 20 feet in the air probably by times. It's plenty high to light up the areas that you need to have safe, but yeah, it's still cut off enough so that we can see what's above it. And I won't get into that stuff now, but I just want to kind of show those lights. So there are ways about it. Mike, you have a story about your house. Maybe you can tell them about that one.
I've lived here now for over 20 years, and across the street from me, of course, is an industrial area, and there's a few different companies over there, and one company that had been there for years sold, and it was taken over by this storage place, and they came in, they started doing all these modifications, and of course, rightly so, I got some notifications from the city about what the modifications are doing to the building and things like that. And sure enough, all of a sudden they had these lights on the outside that were so bright I could turn off the light in my living room and you wouldn't know the light was off. It was literally that bright. They were lighting my house up like daytime. And I went over, I tried to contact them and I got no response until I mentioned the word litigation, and then I got called instantly. And so we have a representative over there, and I said, well, I'm on my way over to see him right now. And he took me on this wonderful tour through the whole place, explaining to me all the motion censored alarms and cameras and infrared and stuff they had inside. And then I asked him, well, why do you need the lights on the outside if you got all that on the inside? And then I also pulled out the paper that I got from the city, and I said, no matter how much you spent on your lighting on the outside, I noticed that none of it's on these drawings that you gave the city. And then he kind of got upset at me with a little bit of an attitude and said, what do you expect us to do about it? And I said, all I'm asking you to do is shield your lights. He said, what do you mean shield my lights? I said, you can take a piece of sheet metal, bend it into a U shape and put it over the light. And then it's not shining on my house, it's shining down.
Light trespass, yeah.
Yeah, and within 2 weeks, every spotlight that was on the outside of the building was shielded, and my backyard is as dark as it's ever been. And I wrote them an email saying thank you very much, and I asked if they could actually use that as part of their advertising to say it's hard enough to get residential and commercial to come together with a solution that makes everybody happy, and we did that. Yeah. And it didn't cost anybody a penny. It was like a few cents to make a shield for the light. So
in some cases, not all, because there are people on that are on here that'll tell us it's not true, but all the time. But if you're looking at, you have a neighbor that has a pesky light that he's dusted on light on all night long, or whatever. Invite them over to the house to look through your telescope.
Yeah,
I had this where I live. You guys have both been out here, and when I moved out here, we had the sodium lights. And then eventually the town went to the LEDs. And when they put the LED lamp up, instead of having it, like they come up on a post and it comes up off of an arm on an angle and then it goes out. And it's supposed to shine downwards. But they put it up on the angle so it was like this. So this angle here would then take the light and put it out. Whoops, which way am I going here? How can I do this? I'm trying to look at it on the screen camera. Anyway, it would put it out on an angle like this, right? And it puts it on instead of going straight down. So the trouble was, with my backyard where my observatory is, it's actually below street level. So that light was pointing right there. I could read a book in my backyard. Everything was shadowed in the yard. And so I fought with them for 5 years. And then finally, I took some photos of the shadows. I took some photos of the book and me reading it and all that stuff. And I sent it out. They sent a guy out. So he come out. You know what his first thing was? What the heck do you want? Dark views. People are going to break into your backyard. That's what I got. And that's what his attitude was. So I knew with him, I was going nowhere. So one day I was watching the power guys come by that actually do the work on the lights. And I went up to the guy and said, do you happen to work on the street up where I'm at? And I told him where I was. He said, yeah. I said, well, listen, here's my problem. Anyway, he took it upon himself to drive up and adjust that light. And it's been the best thing that's ever happened. It was like having 10 Christmases all at once. So sometimes, like with Mike's situation, he had to do something to get the job done, but you can do it. But you got to be persistent, because really people, unless they're into astronomy, they think you want your place lit up.
It's funny because I went to a light pollution seminar, and one of the things the guy talked about, he said they did an experiment in Chicago, and one of the most crime-ridden neighborhoods in the place, they reduced lighting by 95% in the neighborhood, and crime dropped by 85% because the people committing the crimes now had to carry a flashlight to see. So when you see the flashlight going down the street like this, then something's up.
Yeah, you're more obvious, aren't you?
You light up your backyard for somebody that don't need a flashlight.
That's it.
Yeah.
So was there there was some chat on the line there?
There's some comments here. Hang on a second. I'm going to get to a couple of them here. We got one here from Derek. Derek says, I'm always very shocked by the difference in the sky that 5 or 10 minute drive can make. Downtown Miramichi, can't see most of what makes up Orion. 5 minutes drive into my own yard, just outside city limits, and I can see it, and so much more. True. That's the communities that we're in. I mean, we're only 10 minutes anywhere from rural New Brunswick, really, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about Mississauga, you're an hour, outside of Toronto, and you're still in the really bright light. So for us, we're very fortunate. We have to understand that, we get a mix of people, and our population is growing, of course, but we are still very fortunate part of the country to be able to drive to, to have as many dark sky spots as we have in New Brunswick that aren't registered, but even dark sky spots like Redhead or whatever, right? That you can just go to, on your own and visit Chance Harbor or something like that. And then you have the actual registered dark sky sites. So we have the most registered dark sky sites in Canada than any other province. So for the province our size, right? So we're very fortunate to be where we are, and we can drive, just 5 or 10 minutes away and the dark part. Especially like if you're looking for aurora, there's the big one right there, I guess, probably. For a lot of us lately has been, aurora hunting, right?
Yeah.
We do it on try to get on the new moon phase, of course, but we've been seeing a lot more aurora lately. And for the three of us, we were just outside St. John Airport, right? I mean, just
that's right.
5 minutes outside the airport, and we were there, and we saw, it wasn't the display they'd get in Alaska, of course, but it was a nice display, and we were just dark. That was just dark enough for us to be just that far out. So we are pretty fortunate that way. And Derek makes a great point there. So let's probably get on here. I'll have to share with us sometime the Cygnus joke. We'll do that, Chris.
That'll be a whole show, trust me.
Yeah. Winston's asking, hi guys, what aperture is needed to get up close and photograph M81 or the Pinwheel Galaxy? Well, to photograph it, that'd have to be up to you, I guess, Paul, but to visualize it is easily done in the 6-inch scope or 81.
Yeah, I don't know about in the city. Have you guys looked at the pinwheel in the city?
Pinwheel's a tough one, I find. Yeah. 81 and 82 though, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I photographed the pinwheel from the city with a, 6 air 110 refractor.
Okay.
F9.
It's this way to us, so its brightness is a lot lower, I guess, right? So it's a difficult one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, apparently you can get it. I mean, out here I get it no problem, but in the
Yeah.
city, it apparently you can.
Yeah,
Winston
you can.
says, the port lights are bad for him. I almost thought about talking to them about shielding the lights. Well, good luck with talking to the port.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if they did, but I mean, yikes.
They don't see it in the same limelight. They don't see it, they see this as a security issue, period. That's all it is, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
look, if you drove out to McAllister Place tonight or McAllister Drive tonight, what's
Yeah.
lit up? Home Depot, the mall, all the
Yeah.
buildings where nobody's visiting tonight. The stores are all closed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
storefronts are still completely lit up.
It would save them. I mean, if economically, it makes sense. It would save them money if they were to take those lights that are unnecessary and turn them off, like put them on a timer. And after a certain period of time, when the customers are no longer around, then just have them just shut themselves down.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that rather
Or
than
even
leave
have,
them on
even
all
have
night
lights
long?
on a stand that pointed back on the sign, this way instead of lighting up the whole sign completely. But we think that way because this is what affects us when we're out.
Right. Yeah. But them, it's a different story because if they were astronomers, if the guy who owned the company was an astronomer,
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you that you would not have the lights you have on it.
Or if
Now,
you're-
saying that, during seeing and transparency can have a lot to do with it as well. If you get a
Right.
slight haze in the sky, the city lights multiply that immensely.
Right.
If you got perfectly clear skies, then the light pollution doesn't really affect it as much as you think it does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now it's not very often here either in the city that we got perfectly clear, unobstructed sky. But
Derek says,
Yeah.
what I find works well, hiding in the shadows, so to speak. Pit yourself in the shadow of a building to help block out the lights of any neighbors. Reduce white light coming into your own eyes, which just opens up your sky for sure. Yeah. So the more you can get your eyes dark adapted, the better it is. Even with aurora, and you've got a big moon up, put the moon to your back if you want to see something faint, if you can, right? Because it'll keep your eyes dark adapted as much as possible. But that's a good point there.
There's a guy for anybody who watches YouTube videos for imaging and learning how to do stuff. His name's Chuck Ayub, and he's out of Chicago. And Chuck is 20 minutes from Chicago Airport.
wow.
And so, needless to say, he gets a fair bit of light there. But he's got a neighbor that won't shut his light off, and he just won't do it. So what Chuck does, he went 2 4x8 sheets of plywood, and when he goes out to do his imaging, he takes the plywood, and just like Buddy who said about hiding in the light, that's what he does. He puts his own barriers up from the light so that he can get the thing and not get all the light coming onto his scope and stuff.
Yeah.
And he does wonderful photography from the city.
Richard's on here asking, looking at this, I would say between 4 and 5. Fortunate to have no street light, but southwest is the airport, so that's a different looking in that direction for her. But she also asked, how do we determine the level of dark sky we have in our backyard? Can't remember. We use a light meter, right, guys?
Huh. And
Yeah.
a dark sky map. You can
Dark
go
sky
on
map.
and Google dark sky map, and it'll show you the light pollution in your area.
And I think I got that for you. Just a second. If you give me just 1 second, I'm going to bring
Yeah.
it over.
And while you're looking at that, Andrew Sinokcha, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. But anyway, he says Kent Building Supplies in the West, St. John, actually turns their yard lights off overnight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So too many other places nearby for it to make a huge difference.
Yeah, true.
Unless everybody did it. Can you imagine what it'd be like then? Wow.
So if you go to a site called cleardarksky.com and you type in St. John, you can get the St. John light pollution map, or basically the light pollution map for the area.
Yeah.
That's not just St. John's, part of Nova Scotia here too, but you can see that the dark, well, the black is the best, of course.
Yeah.
Then you get gray, and then you've got a dark blue and a light blue, and then a green, and I guess an orange, or yellow, and then an orange and red. And then it gives you the scales down here of what they all mean. So you can click on a particular area. I won't do it now, but if you click on that, you can actually.
Can you go down just a sec to the
Yep.
right there? Stop there.
So let's go all the
look
way
on the
down.
no, go back up.
Okay.
There. Look on the top on the chart where it says conditions at zenith,
Yeah.
and it's got a Bortle scale, which is what Mike
Right.
was talking about.
Yes.
There you go.
So if you look down that scale, that'll tell you the kind of sky that you're in based on those colors that you see on the left.
Yeah.
So when you look at that chart and find out what sky color you're in, then you can see what border sky that you're actually in.
Right.
Yeah, there's like that's like Mount 21.93 to 21.89, which is like Mount clouds are black holes in the sky. This is kind of nice one. I'd like to be here. Zodiacal light annoying. The zodiacal light is annoyingly bright. Like
Wow.
that's weird thing, right? That
Annoying, please.
rising Milky Way confuses some into thinking it's dawn.
Wow.
Yeah, users of large Dobsonian telescopes are very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that issue.
So I mean, you can go in here and link a roadmap to it too, or the top map, for short. So if I just, I think you can
Yeah.
click on,
That's a really, really good chart.
yeah, just go in here somewhere. So just click on the map. It takes me to a Google map and shows me where I am, right? So anyway, that's a pretty neat chart. Yeah.
Yeah. Don Williams is saying the light pollution is mostly Earth light reflected back at us. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, look what Earthshine does to the moon.
Yeah.
I was talking with the fellow who's going to be on our show in not next week, but the week after, and he lives out in Graham and Ann, and he actually downloaded a bunch of the Hubble data, and he said he couldn't believe how overly bright the stars were from the Hubble data. So when you think about that for a minute, that telescope's out in space, right? So it's got nothing to try to get through. Everything's a Bortle zero to it, right?
Right.
Probably one or whatever it is. But it's no matter which way it points, it doesn't have that light to deal with. And he said, based just on that alone, he said you wouldn't believe the difference in the quality of the data, because then anyway, without getting the imaging stuff, it's just a lot better data to be playing with, right? But so you can actually go there and you can get that data and download it yourself if you want to process it and do that kind of stuff. So
Mr. Luzier on here says, I've had good luck with polite requests to turn off unnecessary lighting with my neighbors. Kindness and politeness usually works. So there we go.
Yes.
It does. You get more, you get more bees with honey than you will with vinegar. So
yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I got a friend that says you get more taking a full bottle of beer over than throwing an empty one over his fence.
Okay, we got to move on from that topic, guys.
Yeah. What was that? It was good chat. Yeah.
So let's go on to albino bud then from there.
Albino bud.
Sure.
I have a screen here that shares. Where is it? There's one. Alrighty, binocular target of the week this week by Albino Bud. It's not really affected that much by light pollution. And when I get into it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. And I want to get this one out of the way because we have a total solar eclipse coming up in April, and I want to get this kind of thing out of the way long before April comes so that we have good weather when it does. But binocular target of the week this week by Albino Bud is the infamous Fundy Nebula.
Remember that one.
We've all witnessed it. In fact, tonight we are joyous enough to have it join us. If you wanted to step outside. That sometimes happens at star parties and public outreach events. An evening is lost due to the weather. Frequency of these weather events has caused astronomers in this area anyway to come up with a new astronomy term for the event, now commonly dubbed the Fundy Nebula. So, where would I find it in the sky? Well, you don't have to wait to a particular time of night. You can pretty much step out anytime, day or night, with your binoculars and look around. And guess what? I'll guarantee you, when it's here, you will see the Fundy Nebula. What does it look like? Well, let me see. There's not a whole lot of detail to it. You're not going to get this guy has, but. On those heavier Fundy Nebula nights, you might get something that looks like this if you're walking down the sidewalk. In 10 by 50 binoculars, well, guess what? It's going to fill the whole field of view from one side to the other. There's no question. Wherever you point, you're going to see that beautiful Fundy Nebula. It's going to jump right out at you. It's a wonderful sight. Compared to the full moon, of course. Well, in a pair of binoculars, my guess would be it's about 50 full moons in size. It's definitely going to, fill your field of view, and you're not going to have too much of a problem knowing where the Fundy Nebula is when you look. And which side of an Ewok has the most hair? The outside. that's binocular target of the week by Bada.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's good.
I remember that night so well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We were all sitting around the picnic tables. I think that might have been our last time at Fundy, if memory's any good at all.
Well, last in the old area anyway.
It was the old area, yeah, exactly. And up at the old place, and oh my gosh, we had so much fun there. And yeah, usually one of the 2 nights we'd all be watching the Fundy Nebula.
I said light pollution doesn't really affect it that much, but
And we've had better luck down at the other spot than we've had up at the.
We have.
Yeah, we've had better skies down there. That's right.
but it's closer to the water. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all things.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mike. I'm gonna do a real quick, Paul, what's up, because I just wanted to show, well, maybe you want to do Rosanna first, dude? Yeah,
Whatever
do
you
Rosanna
do,
first.
what you want. Because I'll just
Rosanna's
prepare while you're
fantastic.
doing that. How's that?
What's that?
I'll just prepare while you're doing that.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so quick.
Prepare. Did I hear that word? Prepare.
Okay. I didn't really do a what's up, but I just gonna look at a couple of things here. Just bear with me. I'm on a roll here in my head.
I
Anyway.
can bring the Fun the Nebula back if you like.
Let's go here. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so one thing probably to watch for this week, on Wednesday morning at around 6:30ish or so, Venus, Mars, and the waning crescent moon will be lined up. So that's about all that I want to talk about this week. I know we've got a new moon coming up this week. So we'll just go on from that. So this is early. Mars is going to be there, but it's going to be a tough target. Mars is not in a pleasing spot for us right now. And Venus is actually getting close to, is it inferior or superior conjunction? I'm not sure which one it is. Going behind the sun right now. I think it is. So it'll be disappearing from our sky shortly, and it'll come back up in our evening sky in a little while. So that'll be our evening star. Anyway, let's move on from there to this chart from Lisa. Lisa's Lookup. This is our monthly chart that Lisa provides on her page. Lisa's Lookup at Astronomy and More, and she always gives the event coming up, the date of the event, the peak time for that particular event, and what you need to see it with, naked eye, binoculars, or a telescope. So we have last quarter moon, Mars and Venus there is 4 degrees apart, making line with the moon on Wednesday morning. Daylight savings time in the new moon, and then we keep going till we get to the full moon. And then what's right after that? There's a penumbral eclipse on the 25th. And then, of course, right after that, 2 weeks later, is our big event. So here's our St. John Astronomy Club RASC NB calendar that Kurt Nason puts together for us every month. Here's a 6-week layout here. Here we are written this week right here. So he's got Wednesday and Thursday laid out here. Red spot a few times through the week as well. So you can find that at sjastronomy.ca. You can download it there for free. Yeah, here we are, another Monday room by daylight savings, so that's coming up pretty soon too, so that's on the 10th, so watch out for that one. The other thing I wanted to mention was this kids contest that I had mentioned before. It is coming up. I had delayed the contest from the 1st, and it's going to start on the 8th now because I'm gathering prizes right now, and I'm going to be announcing the grand prize tomorrow, which is, I think it's going to be quite nice. I think people are really going to be enjoying what the grand prize is going to be this time around. So what the idea is it's for 2 groups of kids from 6 to 12, and then from 12 and up. Draw a picture of what you think the eclipse might look like to you, or how you're going to be celebrating the eclipse, even put it that way. Have a parent take a picture of your drawing for you, send it into that address, astronomybythebay@gmail.com. For the people who were involved in this last time around, it's the same idea, just send in your picture. I'll be picking out one of the pictures each day and using it as my cover page on my Facebook page. And then all the entries will get put into a pot, and we'll do the draw just before, just at the 1st of April, before the eclipse comes along. So I'm really looking forward to lots of fantastic entries. We had a lot of fun with this last time around, the 6 to 12-year-olds, and then 12 and up. So I've got some nice prizes for both categories and a couple of grand prizes for both categories. So I'm really looking forward to offering that again soon. So that's that. Oh, and I did want to talk about one other thing. Yes. So again, okay. A lot of parents have contacted me saying, I'm a little concerned about my kids using eclipse glasses, and it's true because here they are, right, and they're fairly big, and you've got a 6 or 7-year-old. They're putting them on their eyeballs, and they're going to be doing this and looking around, and they're not really sure where to hold them and how to hold them over their eyes, and you've got these spots around that they could leak around. So I found this kind of a neat idea. So I went online and I looked it up. And what they did was they took a paper plate, and you take a pair of glasses and lay them on, take your glasses, lay them on a paper plate, and you draw around them with the outline of the glasses, and then don't mark inside the glasses, but get a rough idea, like marking a few spots here where the outlet, where the hole would be. Then you take them off that, use a utility knife, cut out the shape of the two openings. And then on the other side, poke a couple of holes through here so that you can slide your glasses through there. And then the kids can take the outside of the plate and decorate it with designs or whatever they want. And now I'm just gonna put on what I made.
He's been wearing it all day too.
First of all, turn off my camera. And I'll surprise everybody with what I'm talking about. So you got to make a little outlet for your eyeballs too, or for your nose and mouth to get in through. But let's take a peek here, and I'll just go this way.
This is like Christmas Vacation, Mike. We got to give him the drum roll.
I think it does worlds of good.
So
That's awesome.
it does work. Like it's so you got you have a strap around the back of it. You can put elastic through the two bands.
That's fantastic.
Hold it on the child's head, and it does protect their eyeballs. You've got a little cutout for the nose and mouth, so they can get their nose and mouth in through. But it completely protects their eyes. And actually, these ones here, I just stuck a little design. The kids can paint it or put a design on it if they like, and I just glued these on so that they stay in place. But yeah, that's about.
Fantastic. What a great idea.
I think it's going to work really well for those who are interested in keeping their kids. Everybody's interested in keeping their kids' eyes safe, of course, but it'll keep it over their face, and they'll still get a great view. It blocks out the light around them, so they'll get a really good view of what's happening.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
I would still make a triangular teepee and stick it over the nose, because the little kids have this nice burnt nose from looking up at the sun.
Yeah. Well, I did. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an artist by any means, but I just thought that was an idea.
Oh, that's so well done.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job, man.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna keep them for myself. Anyway, okay. So let's go on from there to we're going to go to Rosanna's fun fact.
All right, let's do that. All right, so let me just share moi screen, see if I can do that.
It'll scare the aliens away too, Mary says.
All right.
This place does that already, Mary.
Okay, so here's this week's.
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Yeah, welcome back, Rosanna, for another great fun fact. And this one's actually going to be a whole pile of fun. So I'm going to get right into it. Just one sec here. Got to find the picture. I just got to turn that off. There's a nice picture of a watch.
What time is it?
It's picture time. If I can get the picture to pop up, but it won't pop up.
Can't be 10 to 2. That would be Timex.
Oh, you know why it flipped up over here? No, it's not. Just a sec. I got to find out where that darn picture went. There it is. Now it'll pop up a million times. All right, so here we go. So Rosanna writes, "Hi Paul, everyone seems to enjoy snacking on bits and bites at a party. Well, just consider the ninth fun fact of 2024, a bits and bytes version without, or maybe with some artificial intelligence for good measure." So Bits and Bytes cereal, encrypted with 10 essential minerals, now with our artificial intelligence. I love the cartoon she gets. First of all, we are probably have been to at least one get together where someone does a headstand, perhaps also defying gravity while imbibing in a beverage. There we go. Being upside down doesn't always go well, but for Japan's slim robotic moonlander, it doesn't seem to be a problem. This might be the space photo of the decade. So this photo shows that the slim made the 250,000-mile journey to the lunar surface. It landed upside down. JAXA, that's the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, released the image on January 25th, 5 days after the lander touched down. Shortly after touchdown, the mission team realized the spacecraft's solar panels weren't operating. Seeing the golden ship in such a precarious position, yet still intact, reminds us of just how difficult it actually is to get on the lunar surface, even 60 years after the first uncrewed moon landings. I'm going to make that bigger so you can see it, because this is kind of a see if you can see it thing. The solar panels issued have now been rectified, and the image was posted on X, or formerly Twitter. So JAXA shared a picture of the rocky lunar surface and named it Toy Poodle. The caption to the picture reads, "Communication with SLIM was successfully established last night and operations resumed. Science observations were immediately started with the MBC and were obtained first light for the 10-band observation." This figure shows the Toy Poodle observed in the middle band observation. Now, I confess, it took me a few minutes to see the Toy Poodle visualizing a balloon, so the Toy Poodle might make it easier. So, can you guys see the poodle?
I think so.
So there's the two eyes.
Yeah, and the ears right above it.
There's the poodle right there.
Hmm.
Or he could be here. There's his head and there's his feet. I'm assuming that's the Toy Poodle right there. Or this is two eyes of a larger head. But I think that's the Toy Poodle right there. And there's another dog right here. Two eyes, nose, looks like a collie, right? Anyway.
It's a regular dog run.
Oh my gosh, you could be on that thing for a while. Not to be outdone, or maybe just staying with the trend, a U.S. spacecraft has landed on the moon for the first time in over 50 years. This image captures the moment when the Odysseus lander, the first to be built by our private company, which is Intuitive Machines, touched down near the lunar surface pole, the lunar south pole rather, where no mission has ever landed. The trip was no easy feat. Actually, I don't think any of these trips are an easy feat. Not equal to the moment when you return to the Bits and Bytes bowl, only to find someone has picked out all the cheesies. There was a real nail-biter session when Odysseus, how do you say that? Odysseus?
Odysseus.
See, it's not just me. When Odysseus prepared to descend to the surface, ground controllers realized that the lasers intended to determine its altitude and horizontal velocity, key data points for it to land autonomously and soft on the surface of the moon. They weren't working. Yikes. They ordered the craft to take an additional orbit around the moon before landing attempt, while uploading a software patch that would allow the spacecraft to begin using a NASA Doppler Linder system that was to have simply been a technology demonstration during the flight. And then Odysseus has landed and fallen over. Odie, the nickname for the spacecraft, did successfully touch down, but one leg hit a rock, leading the lander to tip over. It still sent back an image. There we go. And more fun facts about Odie. Odysseus has brought a lot with it to the moon. The spacecraft carries nanoscale etching that contains thousands of languages, songs, and pieces of art, as well as the secrets to some of David Copperfield's magic tricks, and the entirety of Wikipedia in English. And as we get to the balloon or of the bowl, I came across a really cool article about something called Purkinje, the Purkinje effect. Now, as we all know, when the eclipse begins, the sky starts to darken, making colors look different. During the Purkinje effect, warm colors like red or orange start becoming less visible, resembling more like gray, while green starts becoming lighter. Now I'm going to give you a picture of that too. There we go. Therefore, scientists advise avoiding wearing neutrals like black, white, or gray during the eclipse, as these colors blend with the shadows. On the other hand, wearing red and green will stand out from the gray background, helping in observing the Purkinje effect more clearly. Now, the Pukinji effect, named after the Czech anatomist John Evangelista Pukinji, refers to the phenomenon where the sensitivity of the human eye to different colors changes under different lighting conditions, particularly during the transformation from daylight to twilight. So, Paul, a question, and probably a silly one, since this effect occurs only in the human eye, how will that eclipse affect photography? So I found a little blurb on that, which I'll get into later, but anyway. So as interesting as this is, I wait for a regular observing night to check out the Pukinji effect. On April the 8th, I am still going to be wearing my black eclipse sweatshirt, and I won't be looking for who's wearing what. I'll only be watching the eclipse. And that is this week's
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Awesome.
Yay!
Hey.
And what a great fun fact it was. Okay, let me just see if I can find that other little thing I want to just show you if I haven't lost it, which I probably did, knowing me. No, here it is right here. I'm just going to share my screen one more time. Stop sharing. I got to share it one more time. And just so this is something that's going to happen during the eclipse for people to be aware of. You know when you can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so solar eclipse phenomena. So crescent shadows. As the total solar eclipse reaches even closer towards totality, your surroundings begin to change. Colors begin to lose their contrast and shadows on the floor and become much sharper. One of the most noticeable effects are the little crescent shadows that appear on the floor. Anything that can cast a shadow while allowing small amounts of sunlight to peer through can create this effect. Trees tend to be good at showing this effect quite nicely. So that's the crescent shadow effect. Another effect is the shadow bands. The phenomenon is much harder to catch. It happened just moments before and after totality. Shadows on the floor from thin, wavy, parallel lines. This is created by the Earth's atmospheric winds. The sun has been reduced to such a small light source that it is able to cast shadows of the atmosphere detail on the floor. A total eclipse is the only way you can naturally witness this phenomenon. And I'll just do one more. The diamond ring. Once the more iconic images of the total solar eclipse, the diamond ring hanging in the sky, this beautiful sight is witnessed during the last few seconds before totality and a few seconds after totality. The diamond ring after totality is sometimes said to be more dramatic as the blinding light from the sun returns. This is probably due to our eyes having adjusted from the darkness of totality. Anyway, then that's all I'm going to show on that, but those are some of the effects during the eclipse to take a look for. So after you've had a minute or two of totality, I think we got, what, 3 minutes?
3 minutes and 20 seconds, maybe. Yep.
So you might have a couple of, a few seconds to look down around the ground if you happen to have trees and see if you can see some of these other effects. Not to mention the color curtain that goes around. There's so many other things to see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jupiter will be out, Venus, maybe a comet.
Yeah, we're looking forward to all that stuff anyway. So thank you, Rosanna. Great fun fact and great question.
Awesome. Thank you very much again. Okay, let's get quickly to a few photos we've got. And I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. And, I think we're going to go to this one. Okay, so we're up there, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's from Dwayne Schwam. So I asked for people to send me in some pictures, favorite pictures. Of course, we had our Bee Gees picture up there, so everybody was kind of focused on that rather than sending me in photos, but they don't understand why. But anyway, so Dwayne Schwam sent this one in, said this was his favorite sunset. Nice capture, beautiful. I love sunsets, sunrises. They're all the same to me. It's our star in action. Thanks, Dwayne. And Marianne Gillette, her favorite sunset.
Oh, nice.
The reflections, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Barbara Bovard sent these couple in. She says, read your Facebook request for photos. You can use this as an example of when to turn the lights out in the cottage. This is moonrise over Crawford Lake in New Brunswick. And she said, here's the same location, September 26th, 2023, both taken with an iPhone 12 mini. So,
Wow.
yeah, big difference.
Very nice.
Well done.
Nicely done. Thanks, Barbara. Charlie Gotro sent this one in. He said, "Hi, Chris. I got this old photo of me fishing a Tide Head beach in New Brunswick. Nice capture.
Yes,
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. There's
Beautiful
your,
spot, eh?
Did he catch anything?
oh, he's got something over here too. So if you didn't get one there, he's getting over here. Nice. Thanks, Charlie. And Tammy Dempsey. Nice shot. My favorite sky usually is a cloudy. Prefer sunsets. For me, though, there's nothing prettier. Throw in a bit of the moon, and even better. Redhead breakwater. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tanya. Beautiful work.
Nice shot. We've got one here from Trudy Allman. She said she had sent this one in last week. I missed it. Was on the other Gmail address. Anyway, hello. She said, here's a photo of the moon taken last night. A little grainy, but the clouds moved in as quick as I could grab the camera tripods. So had to crank up the camera to see the contrast, but nicely done.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming.
Thanks, Trudy. Winston Koch sent this one in. He said, "Hi, Chris. Reworked this picture from December of 2023. This was taken in PEI while I was visiting my family." Nice shot.
Nice shot.
Yeah, he's coming along really, really well. Got himself a new Newtonian telescope.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so the star spikes you see in that are from his telescope. It's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Really nice job. Thanks, Winston. And we got another one here from Winston. Actually, this was taken on December the 16th using the Skywatcher Quattro 6-inch Newt. Yeah. The CGEM 120 millimeters ZWO guide camera and 294 MC Pro. I just learned how to process today, he said, and this is the result. So well done.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, you get looking in these areas here, and there are millions of stars in these.
Oh, so much to see, right?
Over 1 trillion stars in the Andromeda Galaxy.
Crazy.
M87 has 100 trillion stars, they say. Bonnie Barton. This one. She said, I bought an Eclipse Smart photo filter for my cell or Nikon B700 and tried it out today with a camera to see how things will go. Not too bad, I must say. No, it wasn't today, it was yesterday, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll practice more, but you can see the sunspots right and bottom. Yeah. So nicely done.
This one just go around the corner.
A little square piece, I think you can fit it right over the top of your lens, right?
Yeah, right on.
Tape it on. Great, thanks, Bonnie. Lisa Fanning. Now for the moon, she said. Last night we had an awful storm here in Garden State. Today is the calm after the storm and leap day 2. That was the other day, of course. I woke up to find this beauty out my bedroom window. So I cozied up under the blankets and tested out my new toy. It's been a while, she said, my friend.
Nice
When
shot.
we give us noon, 78%, photographed on February 29th at 6:49 a.m. Eastern Time. Dwarf 2 Lab. Dwarf 2 Lab is not, yeah, I guess Dwarf 2 Lab, they call it anyway. 150 stacked images in central New Jersey. Nice shot.
Beautiful.
Well done. Thanks, Lisa.
Very nice.
And there's another one from Lisa. American Crow in the last quarter moon.
Is that chromatic aberration?
We almost made it through the show.
Oh, so close.
Almost made it through the show.
So close.
Anyway, we're going to step over to Joey Croswell's shots here. In just 10 seconds, the Sea Star provides an impressive view of star clusters. Cool, eh?
Oh, yeah, very nice.
This is
I was
called
about to say there was no cause for that.
Oh, no.
I guess it's called a Sea Star for a reason. Here's Messier 37 and 35. Nicely done.
Yeah, you can sure
Well done.
see stars.
Nice
Wow,
shot.
that's beautiful. Look at that little cluster down the bottom. I never noticed that.
2158.
2158.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, go from there to this one from Robert Gadet. Finally did the solar surface on February 25th. The Luke 40 solar scope he uses, the ZWO ASI 174 millimeter planetary camera. 7% of 2447 frames stacked in auto stacker. IMPPG and Photoshop. Nice job.
Very nice. Yeah, the proms are really nice and sharp.
He gets amazing views, yeah.
Yeah,
Got
really
some
nice.
amazing shots.
Yeah.
Amazing. Kathy Adams. What else do you do on a rainy day, she says, and to avoid cleaning, haha. I played with my Wizard Nebula. I stacked it in DSS and stretch and edit in Photoshop. I also use Astronomy Tools, which is a plug-in for Photoshop, and I really like it. I felt my first processing was a bit flat and used its local contrast function, which focuses on the dark values as opposed to the light. I think Paul may have mentioned this sort of plugins, and they got them at that time and use them a lot. So there we go.
Well done.
Great
Yeah,
done.
very nice.
Well done.
Nice
Good.
shot.
Yep.
And if you have any photos you'd like to share, you can send them into Sunday night. Send them into Sunday Night Astronomy Show at astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to put them up on our next broadcast. Won't we, guys?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me stop sharing here for a second.
There you go.
Get back here, and what else we gotta do? Oh, hang on. I know what I gotta do. Oh, so we're gonna sign off. Okay, so anyway, if anybody out there is looking for a design, I'm taking design, so you
I
can
love that. That is fantastic.
keep orders. Anyway, that's our show for this evening. So we hope you enjoyed the program here tonight. Tune in next week though, as we get an update from the folks in Florenceville. Do we not next week?
You know what would be a neat contest, Chris, is to get the kids to make those pie plate solar things.
The what?
But just make those pie plate solar glass thing like you got there.
Yeah.
But just to do different designs on them.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, the idea here is that kids can paint that whole side or do whatever they want on the side.
Yeah, but I mean, just have them send them in. I'd love to see a bunch of different designs of that.
That'd be great too. Yeah, sure. Send them in.
It'd be fantastic.
We could probably have a prize for that or something if we want.
I think so.
I think we can. I can probably find a puzzle here pretty quickly or something to give away for a prize. Yeah, we can make that. We'll make that happen, Paul.
I think that'd be cool.
Okay, so it is next week, right? We'll have the guys back from Florenceville. They're going to be attempting to capture the coming eclipse from a balloon launched to 100,000 feet. So we're going to be talking to those guys next week.
Chris says it looks like something Peter Gabriel will wear on stage.
I think Paul should wear that as his next gig.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
Anyway, special thanks again goes out to Rosanna, of course, for fabulous fun facts. Thank you, Rosanna. Always a pleasure to have them on, and always interesting. To all of you too who share the program for us, including Trudy, who shares it about 15,000 times for us, and all you people who share the program, thank you very much. Remember too, we do love getting your photos, so send them into Sunday Night Astronomy Show, or so. No, stop sending them. Don't send them into there. astronomybythebay@gmail.com. Be happy to share them on the next broadcast. I need a coffee. Special thanks again to Rogers for all those folks at Rogers for joining us again this evening. So until next week, everybody, wishing you all clear skies. Open your eyes to view the skies and keep your scopes pointed up. Talk to you next week, everybody. And we got to get there. Get this going here. Here we go.